This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
OPEC oil output has risen for a third straight month in October. A Reuters survey found on Tuesday, led by increases in Nigeria and Angola and despite ongoing cuts by Saudi Arabia and other members of the wider OPEC Plus alliance to support the market. The OPEC has pumped 27.90 million barrels per day, BPD. The survey found, up by 180,000 barrels of oil per day from September. Production in August had risen for the first time since February. The steady rise in OPEC output is largely being driven by a small number of producers managing to overcome internal or external factors that have curbed supply, such as U.S. sanctions or unrest. Despite the rise in output, oil prices are finding support from conflict in the Middle East. Slow global economic growth will keep crude prices anchored below $90 a barrel this year and next, unless the Israel-Hamas conflict draws in more countries in the Middle East and exacerbates supply tightness, a Reuters poll showed on Tuesday. A survey of 40 economists and analysts forecast Brent crude would average $84.80 a barrel this year, and $86.62 in 2024. Little changed from estimates of $84.09 and $86.45 projected in September. The global benchmark Brent crude has averaged around $82.60 a barrel so far this year. U.S. crude forecasts were also a tad higher at $80.32 a barrel for 2023 and $83.02 next year, from the $79.64 and $82.99 consensus last month.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil prices edged up in early Asian trade on Wednesday ahead of key global central bank meetings this week, including the U.S. Federal Reserve, as the market also closely watched the latest developments in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Brent January crude futures rose 0.3%, or 28 cents, to $85.30 a barrel by 0330 GMT, after falling more than 1% on Tuesday. Brent December futures settled 4 cents lower at $87.41 a barrel at the contract's expiry on Tuesday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 0.2%, or 16 cents, to $81.02 a barrel after losing about 1.6% in the previous session. U.S. field production of crude oil rose to a new monthly record in August at 13.05 million barrels per day, the Energy Information Administration said on Tuesday. Output rose 0.7% in August from the month prior, the data showed. The previous monthly high was in November 2019, when production reached 13.0 million barrels of oil per day. The monthly high is still shy of a weekly record for U.S. oil production at 13.2 million barrels of oil per day, hit in the week to October 6. Production in the world's top oil producer recovered slowly over the last 3 years as companies used record profits to increase dividends and buybacks rather than spending to rapidly increase drilling and production. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Chinese aluminium smelters plan to cut production in the coming months during the dry season in Yunnan province due to reduced hydropower availability, metals information provider SMM said in a report on Tuesday. 4 aluminium smelters will reduce production by 9% to 40% of capacity, and some others may also lower their output soon, SMM said in a report, without naming the companies. A trader, citing consulting firms, said the 4 smelters included Yunnan Aluminium and China Hongqiao Group. Copper prices weakened slightly on Wednesday, as renewed concerns over China's economy dented demand outlook and a firm U.S. dollar sparked pressure. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange, LME, edged down 0.1% to $8,101.50 per metric ton by 0447 GMT, after recording a third consecutive monthly loss in October. The most traded December copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange fell 0.3% to 67,210 yuan, $9,183.20 per ton. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Soybean oil used to produce biofuels in the United States fell to 1.197 billion, not 278 million, lbs used in August. In July, soy oil used in biodiesel production was 1.273 billion, not 296 million, lbs. Soybean oil remains the largest U.S. biodiesel feedstock.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.